play in his entire life.
I mean, you could see it in his face too, but we do have another match that's coming up. Another nail biter. One of the, I believe, the last European player left in the tournament with ShtanUdachi. He's going to be taking on Surrender from Asia Pacific. And right now, Asia Pacific is leading, or has the only chance to lead the field and representatives left in the tournament, with Tom already through, Jason Joe for China, and now Frozen for the Americas region. So we could be seeing all four represented, or we could be seeing Asia Pacific, the takeover, coming into the World Championships.
And this is sort of a battle of a couple machines moving forward. ShtanUdachi, a guy that has played so many Hearthstone games, it seems like he's on autopilot a lot of times. He plays so quickly, but so precisely. Sometimes it seems unnatural how good he is with how fast he plays. But then Surrender, I can't even remember the last time he lost a match, but we have it. He has the longest HCT win streak right now at 14 matches in a row. The last time he lost was versus Taco 3 in round 3 of the summer playoffs.
That's a long time to not lose, and there you can see the rest of the streaks from this year as well. Pavel at 12, Purple at 11, and Muzzy at 11. All of those players had 10-0 runs in HCT playoffs this year, and that was a big contributor to that. Surrender, 2 full match wins above where Pavel is, and maybe he's not even done yet.
He's not even done. He could win the World Championship and then put an ellipses at the end of that win streak.
He may never lose again.
Next year. He may never lose a game of Hearthstone again. But it's time. It's time to get the final quarterfinal match underway. So welcoming the first player to the stage from Korea, it's Surrender.
Many consider him the best player in the world.
And his opponent, representing Russia, it's ShtanUdachi.
But unfortunately for Surrender, many also consider him the best player in the world.
Quarterfinal number 4. Surrender versus ShtanUdachi.
Everybody grind a lot for this tournament. It's like really hard work. It's a lot of time.
내가 저 선수들을 경기하는 것.
I look at all of the players here as some of the most competitive to play the game, and now they look at me the same way.
I think my biggest advantage is my big experience. I'm confident in my place.
Every year there has been at least one player from Korea in the World Championship, but we have never finished higher than 4th place. I think there are a lot of fans who are expecting me to do better. That is a lot of pressure.
Everybody wants to win. Everybody will play for maximum. For me, it's the same.
Koreans take their esports very seriously. However, until now, Hearthstone has not been conquered. If I win, people will think Koreans have taken Hearthstone too.
Surrender versus ShtanUdachi. Let's see what you got.
Feel like we all needed a bit of a longer break after that last series, but we are not messing around here. Surrender versus ShtanUdachi coming right up. But just a quick comment from you on that last series. So.
Oh, it was incredible. I think when we saw the 7-cost roll-off Dragon's Fury twice, we thought, okay, this is over. Like the miracle has happened. Sinto is out, and then the Jaina, and then suddenly everything flipped on its head. Sinto was finding the craziest ways to generate a water elemental. It was an incredible matchup.
Yeah, and I imagine we have another incredible matchup coming up right now. It's going to be amazing. My favorite pick versus one of your favorites as well. So we've got a bit of an intercaster war going on here. But what do you make of these matchups and the double Q block ban?
Yeah, I mean, ShtanUdachi is perhaps my favorite player. It's someone I'm a huge fan of in Hearthstone. The reason I didn't pick him for this event and actually ended up going with Frozen is that when we spoke to him, he just didn't really sound like he had a great deal of confidence in his own lineup. He said that he didn't really find anything next level that he was happy with. That's something that he's very, very well known for usually, is going outside of the box. And it's the players like Frozen and like Sintalo, who we've just saw, who really broke the meta of this tournament. That's why I leaned away from Shtan and onto that Frozen pick. So what do I think of his lineup? I think the same thing he thought, that I'm not 100% happy with it, but he's an incredible player still, more than capable of coming through this.
Yeah, this is a hugely stacked matchup. Let's see how we're going to be kicking it off. It's going to be the Rogue for Surrender versus the Druid from ShtanUdachi. Rogue, definitely one of the decks we've seen a lot of almost showing off from a lot of the players here in terms of it allows you to do the small plays that make the biggest impact.
Right.
But Druid and Shtan playing the Oaken Summons version is able to put up a reasonable defense versus Rogue, especially when you throw Spreading Plague into the mix.
Yeah, and I think the Oaken Summons build in particular, when you include that package, you're aiming it at the more aggressive tempo-focused decks. You know, gaining a bunch of armor and slamming a 3/6 taunt on the board on turn 4 is incredibly powerful against what these decks are trying to do. And I think the cut of Jade Spirit, which is one of the weaker cards in the aggro matchups, goes to speak even further to that. So ShtanUdachi has the right build, as opposed to the greedier build with the Jade Spirit, Medivh, and so on that other players are favoring.
Yeah, the right build and pretty decent opening hand too, on this end of the stick at least. The Oaken Summons is going to be very, very strong for the points you alluded to, but also it's having Wrath and now the Jade Blossom for Ramp. Ticking all the boxes as far as he's concerned, but Surrender also has Keliseth and now Southsea Captain, which is also a very strong opening. Along with the Corridor Creeper, Coin, Minstrel, and Valspine, these are like a display of key rogue cards, right? They're on the most powerful rogue cards, actually.
The Whiff does come out on turn 2 for Shtan, does just have to hero power pass. Surrender now will start exploding in power level, and Shtan will not be wanting to stare down a Keliseth on turn 2. Remember, the last hope for Europe at this point, ShtanUdachi, after we saw Sintalol, who everyone almost thought was a banker to be our European top 4 representative.
We almost just didn't play out the match.
Right.
We just said, yeah, Sinto, you can have the win.
He had, by Frozen's own admission, a 90% favored lineup in that matchup, but Shtan is now the last representative. We started with 6 Europeans in this tournament, and we are down to our last one.
The last one is ShtanUdachi, though. He gets the work done, but he is up against, as Admirable's mentioned, one of the most highly respected players among players in the world. There is not many people, I imagine, who would not put Surrender as one of the favorites, even in this stacked field. Going back to the hands here as well, ShtanUdachi still has a lot of his opening hand to go, but also just having the ultimate infestation there. Don't get me wrong, you don't want a 10-mana card this early in any average game, but the fact that he's done some ramp and now he knows he can almost just throw away his hand and then potentially refill later on, it's just something he'll be aware of and maybe alter his play slightly going forward. Spreading Plague only helps that as well next turn.
Yeah, Shtan will deviate here off the curve towards Oaken Summons. Wrath Hero Power just too powerful to be able to take care of this board state completely. It stretches out the value of his Spreading Plague until later. If you just left that board up and allowed Surrender to power through and take trades on his own terms, he might be forced to Spreading Plague much sooner than he would otherwise like to.
There's a chance now with Surrender with this Van Cleef that he can just coin Corridor Creeper Van Cleef, and that's 2 very large threats that are not weak to Spreading Plague whatsoever. Right. Spreading Plague actually becomes the speed bump we all wish it was, as opposed to the dominating force with the 5 health minions there. Play's looking pretty good. He does have to sacrifice the coin, and with Minstrel and Valspine in hand, you do have to consider what is the most powerful use. Those are 2 pretty big minions in my opinion. I'm okay with this.
It's the implications of Spreading Plague that's leaning him towards this play. Like, that card is so powerful against you that you almost tunnel vision, but correctly tunnel vision on that card, because it's the card that you're going to lose.
The card that beats you.
Right, because under normal circumstances, this is just a very strange use of resources. You're committing all of your big threats to the board at the same time. You're losing your combo activator for 2 of your best cards in most matchups. But this power distribution, as you perfectly set up, is just a nightmare for Spreading Plague to be able to deal with, whereas doing the same thing with the Edwin, but just dropping down Deckhands and Fireflies at the same time, Druid's pretty happy to look at that board.
Yeah, what I will say as well in terms of activators, the decision was made a lot easier because Firefly and Deckhand are there, and now next turn, there is an activator for Elven Minstrel, and then the turn after that, there'll be an activator for Valspine. Right. So slightly late, obviously nowhere near as fast as Coin, but you can be late when you're rocking this kind of board. The Tyrant there really helped out Shtan, just put something a bit heftier onto the board. He can hopefully, for him, trade into the Corridor Creeper to be able to kill it off if so required, or make a big trade into the Van Cleef, maybe with the help of an additional removal tool. This is starting to stack up for Surrender now.
starting to look very good indeed. Arcane Tyrant, you said, was a blessing because the 1-5s were just a speed bump, and ShtanUdachi needs a lot more to be able to answer back this board state. The 4-4 at least relieves some of the pressure. But Oaken Summons pulling a 3-6 is just, again, another speed bump at this point. Even mid-sized taunts like a 3-6 are relegated to speed bump status when they're facing down Edwin.
When you display one minion, and especially a taunt, to a fairly aggressive play against Rogue, you just, please no Valspine. Please no Valspine. Guess what? Surrender has Valspine and has a multitude of choices to be able to activate it, whether that be the Swashbuckler, the Flame Elemental, or the Deckhand. Although I imagine Deckhand won't be used. There's no dagger equipped, so just plopping a 2-1 Pyro on the board isn't going to do too much for him. Look at the follow-up as well. What is Shtan's even perfect answer to this? Another a turn 10 if he gets there, spreading Plague into branching paths or something.
Yeah,
and that's a lot of ifs, unfortunately.
Right, it's the kind of situation where you're in as Druid where you need exactly Fandral into Spreading Plague, into Jade Behemoth, into Ultimate Infestate, all back to back to back to get you out of this. Just annoy, your most powerful draws in sequence to be able to come back from this kind of deficit.
He's still pretty safe as a 7-6 here to pile away all that armor. Nourish, with hope Shtan. He wants to try and get to the Ultimate Infestation a turn quicker, but the problem is without being able to do the 1 damage to that Van Cleave, very, very frustrating to deal with.
Yep. Surrender will also be invested in keeping this Van Cleef's health total as high as possible, not just because of Ultimate Infestation, but because he's starting to see the armor gain cards come out now. He's playing around the spell stones as well. He doesn't want to expose the Van Cleef to removal as those get buffed by the Open Summons.
Surrender almost spoiled for choice.
It really is.
In terms of how to deal with this 3-6. There's the easy Valspine. There's even, potentially Backstab Trade Dagger. There's Bone Mare something in trade, so you still protect the Van Cleave. Close your eyes and pick a few cards, Surrender. I think it's going to work out pretty well either way at this point.
I don't think, with the stakes as high as they are, with a place in the top 4 and to be a second APAC representative to get there, I don't think Surrender's going to be shutting his eyes anytime soon.
But he could.
Problem.
This is looking insane. Obviously, all off the back of Kaliseth as well, just making everything just that little bit bigger. Can't even kill the bugger with the Ultimate Infestation. Can't really do anything. And Surrender gonna take game number 1 against ShtanUdachi. Looking strong for him. Shtan just could not keep up with the power plays that were happening early from Surrender. And I honestly, the Corridor Creeper coin at Van Cleef was just the turn. There was no good answer after that ShtanUdachi could even draw. Never mind, it just doesn't exist in his deck.
Yeah, threat distribution against Druid is huge. I think Admirable explained it really well in a previous series that you have to set that kind of stuff up. Then the Druid has to respond by softening your minions up turn by turn, and then a big swipe spellstone kind of removal. That just was not available for Shtan, and he is a game down because of it.
Yeah, that is going to be game number 1, and we have got a jam-packed crowd here with a lot of Surrender fans, and me too. So stay tuned, we'll be right back for the next game.
In his entire life.
I mean, you could see it in his face too, but we do have another match that's coming up. Another nail biter. One of the, I believe, the last European player left in the tournament with ShtanUdachi. He's going to be taking on Surrender from Asia Pacific. And right now, Asia Pacific is leading, or has the only chance to lead the field in representatives left in the tournament, with Tom already through, Jason Joe for China, and now Frozen for the Americas region. So we could be seeing all 4 represented, or we could be seeing Asia Pacific, the takeover coming into the World Championships.
And this is sort of a battle of a couple machines moving forward. ShtanUdachi, a guy that has played so many Hearthstone games, it seems like he's on autopilot a lot of times. He plays so quickly, but so precisely. Sometimes it seems unnatural. how good he is with how fast he plays. But then Surrender, I can't even remember the last time he lost a match. But we have it. He has the longest HCT win streak right now at 14 matches in a row. The last time he lost was versus Tackle 3 in round 3 of the summer playoffs.
That's a long time to not lose, and there you can see the rest of the streaks from this year as well. Pavel at 12, Purple at 11, and Muzzy at 11. All of those players had 10-0 runs in HCT playoffs this year, and that was a big contributor to that. Surrender 2 full match wins above where Pavel is, and maybe he's not even done yet.
He's not even done. He could win the World Championship and then put an ellipses at the end of that win streak.
He may never lose again.
Next year. He may never lose a game of Hearthstone again. But it's time. It's time to get the final quarterfinal match underway. So welcoming the first player to the stage from Korea, it's Surrender.
Many consider him the best player in the world.
And his opponent, representing Russia, it's ShtanUdachi.
But unfortunately for Surrender, many also consider him the best player in the world.
Quarterfinal number 4. Surrender versus ShtanUdachi.
For everybody,
Low-key Surrender was often overlooked coming into this year, but now you do so at your own peril.
I don't have a lot of experience playing in live tournaments. In the Summer Championship, I had to hide my face so no one could get a read. Players thought I would be an easy opponent.
We have a champion. Surrender from South Korea is your Hearthstone Championship Tour summer winner.
I did well in the Summer Championship, and now I have confidence I can do well here in the Worlds. It's a different vibe than before. Only 3 of us won a seasonal championship. Now, my opponents look at me a little different.
To our champion, Surrender.
Maybe they will be intimidated by me and won't play up to their potential. I am hoping to use that to my advantage.
We are back and ready to go. Surrender looking good, but ShtanUdachi, of course, no pushover. It's not over till it's over. Till it is over.
There's only a handful of people on this planet, Raven, that can make a man clap like that.
That's one of those.
Surrender
right
is
over
one
there.
of them, yeah.
So is ShtanUdachi.
So is ShtanUdachi, yeah. Do you see a pattern developing? Corridor Creeper, opening hand once again for Surrender. ShtanUdachi, none of the key cards in the mulligan. Keeps Radiant Elemental though, which I am a big fan of. I like keeping playable early minions in this matchup against Rogue. That's Radiant Elemental, that's the 3-drop minions. And then, of course, you can sprinkle your Razas and your Anduins on top of that as you see fit.
Yeah, it's not often in this matchup you're holding on for the Velen, Raging Elemental, Mind Blast, so on. It doesn't happen. You were the defender against Rogue, so against Druid. Sorry, you confused me saying Rogue.
Did I say Rogue?
Yeah, I think you said Rogue. No, I'm confused again. It's Druid. Still though, same rules apply. The best name cards in Hearthstone is in Surrender's hand. Diamond.
Hans.
Good old Hans. This is kind of a tricky situation though, like sounds really silly. He's like, oh, he's got one drop. He's probably going to play a one drop. Well, yes, but which one?
Right. And it is really not straightforward. Bloodsail Corsair is going to be the option here, just to pull out his patches, generate 2 power on board and 2 different targets. Enchanted Raven is a scary minion to drop in this matchup because of, thank you again, Hearthstone Gods, Potion of Madness. If you leave it there unbuffed, then a 2/2 can actually do a lot of work trading across the board into something else. You know, if you just have a board that's a bunch of 1/2s, Potion of Madness is not very effective against you. A 2/2 suddenly becomes a lot more threatening in terms of being able to trade down your board. So generally a minion that can be a liability to you if you do not buff it in the same turn it's being played.
Yeah, funnily enough in this matchup, it's a dangerous minion to just drop on the board for the Priest too, because if they play Mark of Yasharaj, that becomes a very powerful and awkward minion to deal with, so it's kind of that weird sort of chicken play. But there is no buffs in hand for Surrender, so this is just a much more sort of secure line. Just play the Pirate, get the patches out, because we've seen patches in hand far too many times in this World Championship. Surrender's just going to be like,
Quickly.
Can we take a moment to appreciate how slowly ShtanUdachi is playing? Take a screenshot of this moment right now. That is the rope on the screen for ShtanUdachi, and he passed.
yeah, you could take a screenshot of the moment and say he's taking forever. Rope or not?
I mean, is he just unsure what to do in the situation? Is it the stakes that are making him slow down? What's happening?
I don't know. One thing that can come up sometimes is a use of planning time and maybe unsurety of a matchup, right? Priest versus Aggro Druid is not an uncommon matchup for Shtan to understand, right? He knows exactly the way this could and maybe will go. But yeah, maybe it was just is getting rid of patches worth it in case of a buff? I don't know, maybe not. Potion of Madness can be a very powerful card, but if you just wait to get its maximum power, then you might just be dead and never have played it. So there's a lot to consider there. The Radiant Elemental is going to be used though in one of the power plays against aggro with Power Word Shield. Draw a card, make a huge minion in terms of hell. Not easy to clean up, but again, I imagine that Shtan might sit and go, do I potion this turn now?
Not a particularly attractive Potion of Madness. Just killing a 1/2 here to reduce the implications of any buffs that might come down on the following turn. Killing just a 1/2 with your Potion of Madness doesn't sound very attractive, but that could be a 2/3, a 3/4, or whatever else on the following turn.
And also as well, it means that none of the Raven will die if just one buff comes down. It trades with the Elemental as well. The 1 damage makes no difference to them all. And the turn off the patches again just doesn't make too much difference. But the Raven can cause some real problems. There's Living Mana. Probably the most impactful card we've seen for Aggro Druid in this tournament. And just in general. Will mean that... Sorry?
It's a decent looking hand for ShtanUdachi, or at least developing into one, and he's got a little bit of time to play this hand because Surrender has not changed the buffs that we've seen so far during this tournament. You said the Living Mana is one of the most impactful cards this tournament. I would agree, but I think we've also seen the power of ending games before you even get to the Living Mana stage, where you've just chained a Lotus into a Power of the Wild, into a Savage Roar, and just blown them out. That's what you really want to be doing. That's plan A with Aggro Druid, and since Surrender is not doing that, it's kind of the little slaps with wet noodles that I was talking about in the last series, and Shtan has plenty of time. And it's time that he is continuing to take on every turn right now. His turns are not being played quickly.
It's showing a appreciation of the fact that this is a match that will get him to top 4.
Right.
And also an appreciation for his opponent as well. Surrender, as the guys mentioned earlier on the desk, he has not lost a match in HCT for a very long time. You need to full 110% focus to be able to beat someone like this. And Surrender is now also playing the 110% focus phase.
I believe this is known in the Hearthstone lexicon as assuming the life coach position.
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of the players that I remember doing it the most early on. I want someone to do a study on it to work out if people play better by touching their temples.
Well, Life Coach literally argued that he was blocking his peripheral vision so that he wasn't being distracted by anything except the board that he was looking at. Surrender, we actually just heard from him saying that a lot of the time he's covering his face is that he does not want his own face to reveal to his opponent what he's thinking at any given time. So different players might have different justifications for it, but it's a common stance that we see in Hearthstone.
So you're telling me they're not channeling any psychic power?
Who am I to say? I am who to say, because psychic power is not real, and no, they are not.
Maybe you've just been persuaded to believe that by people with psychic powers.
Literally don't know what that means.
Like mind control. It's the priest card.
Mind if I roll me?
Finally some buffs hit the board though. There is no AoE for ShtanUdachi to be able to clear this off yet. No sign of a Dragonfire potion yet either, so it's going to be a little bit tricky. But now Surrender needs to make the decision whether he goes hard on Living Mana. This probably makes the decision a little bit easier because this is kind of a buff as well as a minion. But he could have committed to Living Mana, but then you were completely blown out by Coin Dragonfire. And then you're playing off the top of the deck, which very greatly sucks versus Priest.
Pirate's Cove.
I mean, I agree with that analysis, but you also have to present the counter argument, which is you kind of just win the game if he doesn't have it at that point. Surrender's argument is saying that this board is plenty to win the game if Dragonfire Potion isn't there, and now he has Living Mana for the refill. I definitely do agree with that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the board is like just enough power. It's nothing crazy, but it's enough. And it's awkward enough to clear, right? Especially the Tar Creeper on 4, the Captain now buffing the patches. This isn't a Thalnos Spirit Lash clear, right? You're pretty resilient to everything.
Right. It's Organized Circle or it's Pint-Sized Shadow Word Horror, and the Pint-Sized Shadow Word Horror is not even a combination that ShtanUdachi is playing. And this is the pure Razaka's Priest. This isn't the Dragon version, so you're not worried about Duskbreaker either. None of that can impact on you. You are exclusively concerned with Dragonfire Potion and Organized Circle right now.
I have a question for you.
Go on.
Surrender knows ShtanUdachi has Klein. How much do you read there's no Dragonfire in this play? Because Raza on 5 isn't necessarily a bad play.
I don't think you can rule it out.
It's tough, right? Because if you just let yourself get baited, but also Calling Dragonfire is a pretty good play too to follow up with Raza, because unless they have exactly Living Mana, Raza beats almost anything they play, right?
Yeah, I mean, so from ShtanUdachi's perspective here, if he had elected not to Dragonfire this turn, if he had Dragonfire in hand and didn't use it, he would be conceding the game to Savage Roar.
Yeah.
That's a read that Surrender has to make. He then has to weigh up how likely that is. It's actually very possible, because ShtanUdachi might decide that if he used Dragonfire Potion in that spot, Savage Roar will kill him eventually, because he'd just be out of AoE, the board would refill, whatever else would happen. So to answer your question very simply, TLDR version, no, you cannot rule Dragonfire out just because it hasn't been used in that spot.
Okay. Surrender, not feeling the need to commit to Living Mana. His board's getting more and more full now with the minions he already has, and again, presenting a threat. And now you would have to say it would be a big ask for Shtan to skip over any form of Dragonfire. And if that is the case, Dragonfire is used, guess what? Living Mana would have to roll straight into a Psychic Scream for ShtanUdachi to realistically not just die.
Shtan staring long and hard at this ball position, trying to find a way out. Pyromancer does come into hand, but it's only the coin. You can only prop for one, taking care of the Tar Creeper with a 3-3, trading through the 1-5. Like, it makes so little difference to his impact on this board.
Yeah, quite frankly, Shtan just doesn't really have the tools to work with to make anything really happen at this point. Does he have to just priest Pyro coin?
Too quickly.
Drop the Raven.
Yeah.
Very possibly. Doing a similar thing, it's just the Pyro just doesn't really change what he can clear off the board, really. And so he's choosing to drop the Acolyte instead to fish him further in that deck for the Psychic Scream and the Dragonfire Potion. I like this a little bit more. It's the cost of one additional power on board for extra card draws from your Acolyte of Fame.
Yeah, it's saying, well, guess what? If I survive, I need stuff, as proven this turn. So it's definitely going to get some work done. But already there's, what, 8, 9, 10 power? But that Beast of the Feast is scary. You can't really just leave it on the board a lot of the time. You have seen a weak turn though from Shtan, but the Acolyte has a strong potential of chaining draws, which if you can draw more cards, Priest of Feast gets scary.
This board is very, very unpleasant for Surrender to deal with. As you said, he has to take down the Priest of the Feast. But he also kind of has to take down the 5-1, because that 5-1 can take a value trade into just about anything it wants as a 5-1. But then there's the Acolyte problem at the same time, being able to farm draws at the 1-2.
I'm gonna go crazy.
Go ahead.
You kill everything but the Priest, only give 1 draw to the Acolyte, and trade off the 2-2 into the 3-2, and just go face. I'm not saying it's great, but what you do then is say, well, you need spells. You didn't play any AoE or big spells last turn, and I'll give you that 1 extra draw from the Acolyte and that.
Oh, that's a scream. Both from the draw and from the audience. As the 7-mana card is drawn, and that will effectively end this game on the spot, Raven. The ShtanUdachi section of the crowd is going wild right now.
And the caster desk. Okay, look, he can make it happen. He's getting there.
That's 1 more mana. All right, let's go.
He can ramp. It is funny, when these cards got announced, Living Mana, I remember it was at Bahamas.
Yes.
In the Women's Championship. Admirable just glanced up and saw this card and thought it was a card.
Yeah.
Like the Living Mana token was just a card you can play, and he went nuts. Thankfully, it's not just a card you can play, unless it is screamed into your deck. But this might just be too much.
There we go, there's another mana.
Okay, it's doable. Slowly, he'll get there. It's slowly good enough though.
No, it is not. Surrender understands that the game had ended with that Psychic Stream draw, ruining his Living Mana plans. And honestly, we got into a position where he kind of had to commit that Living Mana and risk the Dragonfire, which was something he was trying to avoid the entire game. So if it ended up being the case anyway, perhaps he should have just pushed it out earlier and tried to end the game with it.
Maybe, yeah. It's definitely tough because we talked about it a lot, every single chance. There was very good arguments either way, and this is what makes the difference in any given Hearthstone game. It is all even now, though. ShtanUdachi versus Surrender, and there we have a Shtan fan. Can't agree with that. Very strong stats, very strong player. Let's find out how this match ends very soon.
What's up, guys? I'm Rosti, former Rank 1 legend, HCT finalist, and top coach for Gamer Sensei. Welcome to the Road to Worlds video series, brought to you by Blizzard Entertainment and Gamer Sensei. In this video, we're going to take a look at the rise of ShtanUdachi and one of the sickest plays that earned him the title of Winter Champion. It's Game 3 of Turn 5 of the Winter Championship Quarterfinals. We've got Shtan on the Arena Lock up against Lovely Chook's Miracle Rogue. It's Turn 5, and Shtan is in a pretty bad spot. Most players here, they would just Soulfire the Tomb Pillager, and that seems really good because of how perfectly it lines up. But instead, Shtan's gonna decide to drop the Doomsayer and Earthen Ring Farseer this turn. We're so used to making these autopilot plays like Soulfiring Tomb Pillager when we see it, that when a rare situation comes up where it's actually wrong to do that, we miss it. But not Shtan. By playing Doomsayer, Shtan forces Lovely Chook to have an out to it. And if Lovely Chook can kill the Doomsayer, it's pretty unlikely that he can kill the Farseer in the same turn too. So, worst case, Shtan can just trade his Farseer into the Tomb Pillager and then Mortal Coil it. And this line of play lets him save Soulfire for later. All the way on turn 9, Shtan finally finds the perfect turn to use his Soulfire. His patience pays off with a big win. Next level knowledge like that separates champions like Shtan from mere Hearthstone mortals, and that's the reason ShtanUdachi is now the Winter Champion, earning himself a spot in the World Championships. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Gamer Sensei video. If you want to get live coaching from a pro like me, then head over to gamersensei.com and take your play to the next level. What are you waiting for? Be a winner today.
because it's even in the last series of the day, the last spot in the top 4 of the Hearthstone World Championship. We're here in Amsterdam with everyone in the crowd here, everyone in the tavern across the way, and all of these high-level players, and a few okay casters, I guess.
Yeah, pretty.
We're all right.
Yeah, we do a job.
We try.
We've spoken a lot though about ShtanUdachi's motivations going into this, or at least you know, our hopes and dreams as him as the last European representative. But Surrender himself has said how big it would be to represent Korea and take home a Hearthstone World Championship, and it's easy to forget that he came into this with a teammate as well, who I'm sure is now pinning his hopes and dreams and the hopes and dreams of Planet Odd to put them in fantastic standings going into the 2018 team standings for the Hearthstone competitive season. It'll be an incredible achievement for Planet Odd to have 2 players at the World Championship and then for one of them to take the whole thing home.
Yeah, they should really look at picking up a third.
They should, yeah. The roster would be rounded out by just one more player at this level.
So enough of that done. We'll feel that one afterwards. But looking at the opening hands here, ShtanUdachi has all the ramp you could ever want. At least in a 3-card opening hand as Druid. Surrender as the Raven again. South Sea Captain not too bad. And a double Power of the Wild. Does have access to these buffs early on. You just go.
I mean, if you coin out double Raven here and then just start buffing them, you can deal upwards of 12 to 18 damage before ShtanUdachi interacts if he wants to ramp twice in the meantime. That's a serious beating.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
See if he goes for it though. These early turns are never easy, and it gets compounded by just the more options you have for Surrender. But I do struggle. Like, Raven in the deck as a 2/2 is because it's a relatively strong, like, beefy one mana minion, right? If you're putting them in your deck, you not just want to throw as many out as possible. The answer from Surrender is no.
Yeah, I mean, it's a damage over time calculation, because by holding the coin, you can also get Captain plus Patches out quicker, and then slam the buffs onto those as well. And, you know, it's how these sequences line up against different threats. You know, if ShtanUdachi would just had a Wrath on turn 2, then suddenly your turn 1 is neutralized. Jasper Spellstone, same kind of thing. Getting that additional threat down would allow you to push damage through that kind of thing. If he doesn't, then this sequence allows you to land the buff on more minions and push through more damage more quickly. Shtan, though, does pick up that all-important Wrath, though, that may have just saved his life.
Look at the following turns. Raven, Power of the Wild, Savage Roar, lol. At the end of the day there, that would have been absolutely insane. But there's another buff for Surrender.
I think we're going to see a Panther. Yeah, I think we're going to see a Panther here.
They go pretty wide. You just, as Surrender, you just saw a Wrath. How many removal tools that even do anything versus this board are going to be left? It's the turn before. Spreading Plague can even be played as well. So it means that Surrender can set up an insanely strong board with the second Power of the Wild, the Mark of the Lotus, and, you know, potential card X that gets drawn.
Yeah.
This could just almost just laugh at Living Plague at this point. Living Plague, Spreading Plague, Living Mana, same thing. They make minions go wide across the board, and you'd often lose when they're.
I think you've balanced Spreading Plague. It should just eat all your mana, and you're not able to play afterwards. Yeah, solved. All right, let's do that.
Road, I know you're listening. Hire me. It would be funny.
Yeah, but as you mentioned, like, Spreading Plague just not a factor. The fact that you can just buff these into 4/4s and 4 attacks and 5 attack minions, it's just not a huge threat at this point with the way you're developing this board moving forward.
And Druid of the Swarm, the pickup, and there is an option now, and again, just more consideration. I'm sort of Surrender's just whipping through in his mind, is that he can go Druid of the Swarm into Poison, which further negates any potential taunt of big minions, and then just buff it with Power of the Wild, and then next turn you can think of, you know, the Mark of the Lotus Savage Roar to maybe end the game.
You can push 10 this turn with 1 buff, push 13 with 2 buffs, not using Savage Roar, which puts him down to 14 or 11 respectively, and you'd be sitting with 10 more powers out on board, so you'd be threatening lethal even with 1 buff here.
Yeah, that's what I say. I think the poison is actually amazing, right? Because, for example, Malfurion can be a problem here. True. You beat them to turn 10 anyway, and if they're not plagued yet, you've got to imagine they're not going to play again. They go for the taunt though, just to defend these minions instead. God, I'm good. Caster skills. and still not going to be much of a speed bump, even with double taunt here, as we said. The Mark of the Lotus, Savage Roar, laughing at any taunts Stein can put in the way. El Sol sat next to me doing the mathematics to work out exactly how this will interact. The countdown time is over. It gives us a summary.
Yeah, it's not enough. You do get nice trades into it with Mark of the Lotus and Savage Roar. It allows you to trade with the existing 2/6 into one of the 1/5s, but you're not pushing through enough damage to get through the armor gain as well that comes with the Malfurion. So it stabilizes. Well, it doesn't stabilize. It's a defensive.
You don't die
now, but your 1/5s just get devoured. That's the big problem.
And then what are the draws? I mean, also on 9 mana, you can't even branch it past double draw into Spreading Plague.
Right.
It's not there. The mana doesn't exist.
It's a big whiff, though. There aren't many scenarios where you draw Corridor Creeper and it's just completely miserable.
I do like the Savage Roar here, though.
Savage Roar seems unnecessary. To me, anyway. Like, on the surface of it, like, you can achieve a very similar effect just with Mark of the Lotus, and then you still have that enormous board sticking around. It's not going anywhere against Druid, right? Like, some matchups, you just cash in your Savage Roar when you can, because they might Dragonfire Potion you, or Spell Power Defile you, or Twisting Nether you. Against Druid, that board's sticking around. You can cash out Savage Roar as late as you want. Surrender agrees with you, though.
He's one of the best players in the world. He agrees with me.
Yep.
That's maybe one of the best players in the world. He's getting a lot of front-loaded damage, and also, let's be honest, we're arguing over minor points at this moment, and we've talked a lot about minor points making the biggest difference, but this feels like almost insurmountable odds for ShtanUdachi this game.
I really feel like that Savage Roar could be converted into more damage later. I think he's perhaps net less damage with his Savage Roar than he could have over the course of the game, and now this hyper-defensive play of just stick a taunt in the way and gain a bunch of life threatens to wall Surrender out of this game.
This trade will allow a hero power into the Panther, and the Corridor Creeper is playable. And even if Ultimate Infestation comes down, that is stacking up to a lot of armor. There is still just one 5/5. Surrender has like one more turn of almost freedom before things start getting a little bit funky with all the cards that Ultimate Infestation.
So he is down to 11. He will go back up to 16 with the UI, and there is 16 power remaining on board with the 2/4/4s, the 5/1, and the 3/5.
Oh yeah.
UI is not a play.
See, Surrender knew all along. Exactly.
I would not put it past him to actually like map out that entire 2-turn sequence. I mean, probably not exactly double branching past for armor plus open summons, but something into Ultimate Infestation. Calculated he had lethal against it, and that's why he cashed out his Savage Roar. Who's to say? Surrender is a much better player than I am. That's why he's on the biggest undefeated streak in HCT history, and I'm standing here trying to interpret it as best I can.
I'm standing here trying to count.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Surrender is leading 2-1 and only has his Priest left, which is the fairly standard Highlander Priest. Nothing too crazy. ShtanUdachi has 2 more decks he has to win with. That is just today. Tomorrow, everything that comes down to tomorrow. Semi-finals, finals, then we have a world champion.
This is what we've been working towards. Just every game that you have seen over the past few days, every group game, all of these quarterfinals, and all of the year leading up to this, the Bahamas, Shanghai, LA, and now all of this leading up to this moment to become the next Pavel. You could be in that position, signing autographs for adoring fans next year, after, of course, you do what Pavel couldn't and re-qualify back to the World Championship to come
Yeah,
here.
or if you were here, you could be in the positions of those fans and just go and get an autograph from Pavel and RDU at least. I'm sure there are plenty of other players over there as well. So if you've got a few minutes maybe after the series, or quick run now, maybe you can catch them, get a quick autograph, then run straight back because we've got a very important match of Hearthstone going on.
We sure do. Between these two fine examples of Hearthstone players you see on your screen right now, ShtanUdachi and Surrender. Putting on a clinic right now. Great play from both sides, and it's back and forth, honestly, but Surrender is just squeaking out ahead, and now He does have a very unfavorable matchup to overcome, but it's certainly possible. You can put together huge amounts of damage if you get extremely greedy. He's kind of failed the first check here, which he doesn't have the coin. The coin can be converted into an enormous amount of damage in the late game with Prophet Velen. If you get an extra copy of Mind Blast of Shadow Visions, that coin then becomes insane in combination with Radiant Elemental as well. So ShtanUdachi will probably be happy to be seeing that coin, but it really is a race to around 20 armor or so for the Druid. That's the magic number that they're really looking to hit.
Yeah, it's definitely a funny dance, this matchup, right? Because you just mentioned, Druid has gone the way of, instead of trying to cycle through Jades as quickly as possible, in this expansion, it's kind of like, hey, we can gain a lot of health, actually. We are better than, like, Warrior at this now.
Yeah.
And you want to gain that much health, but in doing so, gaining that much health is normally a very passive playstyle, right? Being passive means you give the priest time to draw.
Yes.
So it's kind of a weird, yes, I'm being slow.
Yes.
But if the priest is slow as well, this could still go wrong for me. So it's very, very difficult. And I think this matchup's kind of bounced on Razor's edge almost all game.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And there was a show match played out recently. Shout out to Fino, who's putting together these high-level show matches, basically testing matchups at a as close to perfect as we can achieve level between two high-level players, trying to get an answer as to what is actually favored outside of other data sources. Actually, the priest was victorious because, yes, it drew very well, but it also managed to play this very greedy playstyle where it was assembling 45 plus damage at a time with these insane Bell and Radiant Elemental combos.
Yeah, and this is what you don't want to see if you're Shtan. The Jade comes out because, you know, he wants to just get the Jade ramp going. And yeah, Cleric, Power Shield, thank you for the card draw, Mr. ShtanUdachi. I will take that for the next few turns.
And this hand is looking pretty good right now. There is a Kazakus in there that can be dropped as a 3-3 this turn, and then that means he can pick up a 5-mana potion for some tempo if he really wants to, summon a 5-5, do something. Woo! The toolkit is complete, ladies and gentlemen. Surrender has everything he needs at this point. As the Lyra to go off with, which is actually a huge asset in the matchup. This is one of the matchups where Lyra shines, because you are legitimately adding cards to your deck. You are adding pings to your deck, sources of 2 damage with Shadow Reaper Anduin. You're increasing the number you have available. That's key. When you're not trying to do 30 damage, you're trying to do upwards of 60 sometimes over the course of the game.
I feel Surrender's hit that moment where he's just pieced together the Millennium Puzzle now, and he just needs to actually finish out the game. ShtanUdachi still, game's not over yet. He's already on 7 armor, and he can push for more. But the way this hand is shaped up for Surrender, this is what you want to see if you were the priest in this matchup. This potion now. Deal 5, go. Gonna burn through that armor.
Push his face through the farm draw. Some number 2 will pick up his Ironwood Golem now. Just value trade through the Kazakus. Ton of armor already, 12 already. Druid, like, it seems like every expansion, Druid just gets a new ridiculous trick to play on you. Now it's the, hey, you remember that Justicar card? Yeah, well, hold my beer. Just watch this real quick.
I do like it though. I do like change of playstyles for classes.
For sure, yeah.
It's definitely interesting. Hunter's just got to catch up at some point. Was deal 5 giving his +4? This Cleric isn't going anywhere soon. When a Cleric can almost free trade with and then heal to draw more cards for the Priest, Surrender's already in a great spot. This is only going to get better for him. And so much so that Shtan's saying, yes, I will use my 6 damage Jasper Spellstone to clear off this Cleric. It is that kind of level of play.
He gained enough armor by turn 5 while developing his board with a Fandral and an Ironwood Golem to activate a full Jasper Spellstone for 6.
Oaken Summon's pretty good card.
It's real solid.
Pretty sure at some point soon as well, we're just going to see like good minion Druid, right? Because if you could just pull like 4 drops out, for example.
Yeah.
Like, also, Druid of the Claw is still a card. It's still a reasonable card. And they have so much of this other sort of recruit going on as well. So I think there's just a chance, maybe Astral Tiger as well, of just solid card Druid. But for now, it's all about the armor. And at least for now, it's all about the Jades. wonder how freely Surrender thinks he can just use this Dragonfire potion. Like how comfortable he thinks he may be with this hand.
I mean, I think the only thing really stopping him from using it here is that he has a 5/5 right now, and that can test the 3/6s just fine. I mean, with the way this game is going, I don't think he wants to hold Dragonfire to clear a big wave of Jades. I just don't.
That's exactly what I mean.
Right, yeah, I don't think that's a factor. He will use it when the time comes that he can just get any real reasonable value out of it. But also for now, although it's an expensive card, it is still 2 more damage for Shadow Reaper Anduin at this point, and every single card you can save until after that point is relevant.
It's even going to be a pass. There's Novice Engineer going to come out from there either. Just doesn't want any pesky little plague minions to come out. That's the ultimate infestation. 5/5 on the board, of course. 5 more minions. Carb, sorry, and then Arcane Tyrant going to come down for even more pressure. So, guess what? Dragonfire, pretty good card.
As well.
Or we can just Anduin. I mean, that takes.
Yeah, I mean, you're Anduin. Yeah,
yeah,
you're Anduin 100% of the time. That's why you saw him pass last turn. That's the point I wanted to lead into, where it becomes a pretty simple calculation in this matchup, where if you have Shadow Reaper Anduin in hand already, you look at your hand and you say, okay, if I play any one of these cards, do I net more than 2 damage out of it? If the answer is no, you just hold on to it and you play it after Shadow Reaper Anduin, because the balancing act, the trapeze wire is so fine in this matchup that you playing one card before you play Shadow Reaper Anduin and missing 2 damage for it could very well be the difference between a win and a loss.
Yeah, now the second ShtanUdachi sees the Anduin come down, he knows he is on a clock. He either has to gain a ton of armor or has to beat his opponent up very quickly. He does not have Malfurion Pestilent equipped, so his armor gain from Aero Power is just severely limited. It's just going to go for the Jade route. Is it enough?
You like my invention?
Ping, Novice, Ping again, Silence and Dragonfire both available this turn if needed to completely sweep this board. Silence on Aya is a very tantalizing prospect in the matchup because it reduces the J pressure by so much.
Yeah, and then after the clear this turn, if Surrender goes for it, you have to wonder, Surrender's probably thinking, how much refill now does Shtan have, right?
Yeah.
Just seen Tyrant, Aya into some more Jades. There's only so many cards in his hand. Probably like, well, if I clear it this turn, maybe I can just get Lyra next turn off.
Yeah.
Pretty safely, right? And just be like, well, what can he possibly do?
That is pretty much the game plan for Surrender at this point. It's clear turn, into Lyra turn, into Velen turn, into You Are Dead. Yeah. That is hopefully the plan from this point. It's relatively unlikely to go that smoothly, but that's Surrender's perfect world. That's what he's playing towards at the moment.
Ultimate Infestation number 2, more armor for Shtan, a little bit safe there, and then all the card draw he could want for this game now. Plenty of Jades with the Jade Behemoth, the Jade Idol, and the Jade Blossom. Jades are already pretty meaty as they are, but is it going to be enough Jades? The next one's going to be a 5/5, and he can generate potentially 3 next turn.
The stance has been resumed. Blocking his own face, blocking the peripheral vision, whatever it is. He has run into a roadblock with the game plan because the Lyra turn is non-existent right now. There's no real targets for any of the spells in his hand, bar that Spirit Lash, nothing to Potion of Madness, nothing to Shadow Word Pain. He needs a death this turn to take care of the 5/5, so it just feels like a minion turn.
I was going to say, I don't even think you can... The problem is you can't even consider, say, Hero Power Velen, Tar Creeper, Hero Power Jade, because the Velen...
Not all who want them are
Whoa. Wait. Okay, maybe you can. I finished my point, but I thought, with Shtan cycling through so much of his deck, a swipe and a Wrath isn't really a crazy thought, right?
So
Double Ultimate Infestation.
I'll try and present where I think Surrender's head is at. Like, classically, the way this matchup is played right now, Spellstone is the #1 way you end up clearing Shadow Reaper, clearing Prophet Velen. He knows the way this game has played out, that the hand was empty and then Ultimate Infestation started to be cast. So the Spellstone would have to have been drawn off pick up the first. Ultimate Infestation and then have been buffed by the second one as well to get into a position where it could clear out the Prophet Velen. And he thinks his turn timer is slipping away to the point now where he has to take that risk. He thinks the Spellstone isn't there. If Swipe Wrath is there, that's a 2-card combo. Sure, you have that. I'm going to concede to it.
Okay, interesting.
I'm not necessarily saying I disagree with that play. I agree with that play. I think he still had a turn or two to wait it out at that point.
I think as well, because it's not just exactly that 2-card combo. Branching Paths then gives you 2 more draws. And getting that 2-card combo as well, so that's something else that could get there. And with so few cards, that seemed a little bit risky to me, and it definitely was a risk. Surrender did get his Velen removed, but now Lyra has come out to play. No Radiant Elemental though, so nothing too wild is going to happen. But still, just like you said, this is just literally more cards and converting kind of more free cards into damage. Cards as well so far. This is looking pretty good for Surrender in terms of these Velen draws. Let's see if we can keep it up. Yep, keep it up.
There is the alternate consideration here that I believe ShtanUdachi has committed both of his Jade Idols for you at this point. Are there Jade Idols in his deck remaining? Did he shuffle?
I don't believe so. Nope. We're gonna see a fatigue matchup.
I mean, that's viable, right? Maybe that's where his head's at.
Wait.
Jade Idol.
Okay, I was lied to. Next one's a 7-7. Jade's awfully large at this point, but I think Shtan is just weighing up whether the spreading plague is enough to hold off, but this Lyra is the fear factor.
Yeah, the Lyra's a big deal now, and again, that could be another justification for Surrender's play, which is, hey, if you use either a big Spellstone clear or a Swipe Wrath clear on my Prophet Velen, then you then have to have the other one to take care of my Lyra, or that just keeps going nuts. Well, ShtanUdachi has them both covered at this point.
That's it. All those ideas and plans are great, but when you see double Ultimate Infestation from your opponent, well, yeah, they probably got it. They drew most of their deck. It's kind of a long stretch. Shadow Essence. Okay. Kind of like Velen.
Apart from the complete lack of effect on the thing you really care about, which is your hero power.
But it's legendary.
Yes. Surrender deep in the tank right now, just trying to divine his win condition. It doesn't matter how unfavorable your position is, when you are 2-1 up with a shot to go through to the top 4 of the World Championships, you are going to hunt for those lines that get you out of it. Like right now, it's just minion presence. Beat him up. Beat him up, support it with hero powers as much as you can.
It's like how much people may say, oh, well, Surrender can afford to lose a game. You don't want to lose a game. You want to win right now and just move on. Shtan being so deep in the deck now. Here is the Malfurion, the Pestilent at last. Definitely a card against creatures you want way earlier than this.
Absolutely.
Just so you can really stack the armor. We talked about 20 armor as a real strong point in this matchup. Only on 16, and this is, with most of his deck already done at this point.
I think we actually, in one of Frozen's matchups where he was playing Druid, saw him innovate a Malfuri on turn 6. He's playing the Innovate because he's playing the Violet Teacher package, and then he just innovated out the Malfuri and just get it rolling early.
Those hero powers are nuts.
They are.
Hero power 3 armor? Crazy.
Darkness speaks to me.
Surrender still has a reasonable sum of damage in his deck. Holy Smite, Mind Blast as a core damage. There's also Shadow Visions, which could get another Mind Blast, depending on the ordering of the draws. As well as a few other cards that, okay, Loot Hoarder, Blood Mage Thanos, Certainty, and they're still all cheap cards you can get more hero powers. But really, he needs the punches, so he needs those Mind Blasts.
Yeah, and he's out Velen to double that Mind Blast up. He's out of Kazakus as well. He doesn't even have the Resurrect Velen out for later in the game.
I don't even think there's anything. This is where
Shadowy thoughts.
That's why I should voice my thinking process, because it is really weird.
Marching upwards to 7-7 now for ShtanUdachi. Still does have the protection of that Jade Idol to fall back on. Shadow of Death came way too late. There was that turn where there was a 5-5 on the board where I think he would have gone off on his Lyra turn if he had that Shadow of Death available to drop Lyra Shadow of Death to 5-5. That instead, I believe, was the turn where Velan got committed and this whole game deviated from kind of the conventional plan.
I will say the board is still quite strong for Surrender. And yes, we see 2 spreading plagues, but also to a certain extent, so what? Surrender can get through 2 spreading plagues very easily with this board.
Right.
It's very much about Shtan's follow-up and how many of these big plays now he can get out and how quickly.
I'm almost out of cards.
Because Shtan has to spend some time shuffling at this point. Branching Pass, very good for shuffling Jade, drawing them, shuffling them again. And Surrender, like I said, still has damage. And if this board connects, it's like, what, 11? 11 without hero powers. That's nearly half of Shtan's health. Definitely not quite over yet. That does go. Spreading Plague just to buy some time. And this is going to be the shuffle. Next turn, he has options.
Yeah, no choice. I mean, it's not even necessarily about needing a bunch of Jades to pressure out and win the game. He just can't hit
Not
fatigue
dying.
at this point. Yeah, if he hits fatigue, then that's game over.
Shadow Visions before the Mind Blast. It's pretty huge. There is Smite, Mind Blast, Circle of Healing,
Scream.
So there's a chance to whiff a little bit. Because if you don't get Mind Blast, you'll get Smite. So
yeah.
It's less damage, but it's damage.
Shadow Visions is finding you damage, guaranteed.
With that Thalmos. Oh. Extra spell damage really counts here as well. Even if it's just +1. One more damage every time you go for these aggressive spells. Very true. It's gonna make all that. When your opponent's armoring up to 3 every turn, an extra 1 on multiple spells is actually huge. No Shadow Vision?
Well, if he waits it out, he has a 3 out of 4 chance, or he's 3 times as likely to draw one of the cards that isn't Mind Blast, and then he is guaranteed to get 2 copies of Mind Blast in his deck.
I just don't know if time is something Surrender has.
He can outpace the hero power for a lot of turns from this point. Until he runs out of cards, he does outpace the hero power.
It's going to be a double card draw for him right now as Thanos is going to take a hit.
And here comes the pressure.
Fucking glimmer is there that makes this funny. Maybe Spreading Plague.
Sure.
That can really mess up Jade. There's no good way for Druid to deal with it. Let's have a look what he gets.
Remember when I said until he runs out of cards, he can keep outpacing the hero power? That's not quite true if you're just drawing 1 Jade Idol every turn for the rest of the game. But it's something.
Shuffle Shadow Visions, Jade Idol, go. Who's the Jade Druid now? Hits the Mind Blast, that's pretty good. So much extra damage. I was talking about the benefits of having +1 spell damage. Well, having just 5 damage is actually huge when it's completely extra from your actual 30 card deck. Can Surrender finish this out, put himself into a top 4 spot for the World Championship? Shtan's going to fight back and even this one up. This one's going to be ending pretty soon at this point, I think.
Turns are starting to become a little bit awkward for Shtan. He wants to Spreading Plague to continue to lock out the board state, but he also wants to drop this Branching Paths to gain the armor at some point as well. He'd also like to keep the flexibility open of using Branching Paths for card draw to generate a bunch of Jade pressure instead, but at the same time, he also wants to hero power every turn to keep getting out of range. I'm sorry, you don't have 20 mana every turn. You can't do all of that stuff.
Accept your apology. Go for the Spreading Plague and just a ton more armor, thinking, well, without this Velen, Surrender's only got X damage left in the deck. Oh, Psychic Scream. Kind of forgot about that a little bit, to be honest, even though we were literally just talking about it. I was thinking more about, well, it's not damage, but it is damage. It translates to your opponent not killing you, which means you can press hero power more times.
It's damage over time, and speaking of time, we've just had it confirmed. This one game is now longer than ShtanUdachi's entire series against Purple.
It's not a surprise, is it?
I mean, and that's a testimony to how long and drawn out this matchup is, but it's also a difference in play from ShtanUdachi. He's playing so much slower, so much more considered than we've seen him do in the past.
Bear in mind, this is 2-1, this is game 4, this isn't even game 5. Like, we could hit that, so people have to be playing slowly as well.
Surrender just scratching, clawing, trying to drag himself over this finishing line.
Blood Mage Thalnos, the original, is still in the deck as well, and I mentioned it earlier, but he has 3 damage spells. Yep. That's 3 more damage with Thalnos on the board, so you will take that to negate 1 hero power that ShtanUdachi has pressed this game.
Surrender back in the tank.
Surrender's ever considered like wearing a hat, possibly. He's creating a peak with his hands. Maybe to block out Stan's read. He did mention that earlier in the interview. Surrender, I think quite rightly, just dropping Acolyte as well. There's no point messing around with the cards here.
It's starting to look grim for Surrender.
I was gonna say, it's starting
to look grim for Surrender. He only has, 16 damage just in cards recycling his ping left in his entire deck, plus 10 from the Mind Blast, plus 2 from the Holy Smite. Like, he's just very, very quickly running out of total damage. So that's why you're seeing this response now from Surrender, trying to plow through as many of those cards as possible in one turn to mitigate the armor gain coming out from ShtanUdachi.
Circle as well. I don't have time to deal with whatever card this is drawn from Acolyte. They might actually wait. Plus this gives the benefit of, you know, he doesn't go for circle now. It's not really that much damage he even removes at this point, like 4. How much difference is that going to make when the Jades are absolutely insanely large? Right. Surrender. Hands feeling all the pressure in the world right now. Shtan's been very, very chill throughout this matchup, I think, in terms of facial expressions at least.
Surrender has 13 damage.
I was gonna say, Shtan's probably just calculating exactly what he can get away with and how many turns he has to give Surrender before he can actually kill him.
I think Surrender wins next turn. Shtan, because either he has 2 cards remaining, he draws them both. He pings, that's 2. He plays Circle, that's 4. He plays Mind Blast, that's 9 and then 11, and then he plays his remaining Blood Mage, and that's 13.
Count down to the +1.
I didn't even know that's 14.
Yeah.
I mean, the 13 was enough, that's why I stopped.
Wait a minute. I think you lied to me when you said he's looking grim for Surrender.
But I mean, I finished that point with him recognizing that situation and going all in on the R2 turn lethal.
He's done the maths. He's got the lethal. Surrender. On point calculations. On point play. And we're going to be seeing him in the semi-finals of the Hearthstone World Championship. What a series. And again, Surrender just making the plays that we don't see, and we can see everything. He's amazing.
It was a phenomenal performance, and your undying love for this man is starting to become justified, Raven. I thought he'd left himself with way too much to do after that Velen push, but it was minion presence, just annoying mid-range minions, just biting away at that armor total, and then he calculated the perfect tipping point to go all in, burn through the remainder of his deck, 2-turn lethal, 3 games to 1 in perhaps the longest and most difficult series ShtanUdachi has ever played in 42,000 wins in his Hearthstone career.
My mind is blown, and I'm ready for it to continue to be blown. As Surrender is on the stage with TJ to find out some more about that match.
Thanks very much, guys. That's right. I'm joined by Surrender after his victory, and I'm pretty sure everybody had counted you out at least some point in that last game. How far ahead of time did you calculate that you would be able to win in such a fashion like that?
그 마지막 경기 때 거의 많은 사람들이 졌다고 생각했을 건데 언제 그 이겼다고 확신을 했나요?
글쎄요. 그 사실 맨 마지막에 몇 장 안 남았을 때 있잖아요. 덱 마지막에 한 5장 남았을 때 그때 되게 정신분열이, 그러니까 제가 그때 정신분열이 패에 한 장 있었고 그 상대 덱에 정신분열이 한 장 더 남았다고 생각했을 때 그때 이겼을 거라고 생각했어요.
I think it was when I had 5 cards left. I was counting my cards and what I had, and that's when I got confident that I could win this.
So now you've won 15 matches in a row in HCT. Do you even remember the last time that you lost?
그 HCT 대회 기준으로 보면 지금 15승 0패인데 마지막으로 진 거 경기 기억나나요?
아, 네, 기억나요. 그때가 아마 플레이오프 3경기였는데 상대가 2대2 상태에서 5턴에 라자하고 8턴에 안두인에 졌습니다.
Yes, I actually remember it was the 3rd round of playoffs when my opponent and me were 2-2, and my opponent did a 5-turn Raza and a 8-turn Anduin.
That's how we all lose our win streaks, man. That's how we all lose them. You've gained a lot of fans throughout the crowd here, and of course on the Korean language stream as well. What message do you want to give to all these people supporting you throughout your run here at HCT?
지금 여기서 많은 팬들도 새로 만들었고 이제 한국 그 방송에서도 많은 사람들이 보고 있는데 지금 시청자들에게 한마디 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
제가 그렇게 잘하는 선수라고 생각하지 않는데 이런 저를 믿고 응원해 주셔서 정말 감사합니다.
I don't consider myself the best, but thank you for believing in me and choosing me. Thank you.
All right, give it up for Surrender. Congratulations once again. Our final semi-finalist is Surrender. Now let's go ahead and throw it over to the desk with Frodan.
Unbelievable.